So in this video, I'm going to show you how to bring data into Stata. And the way I'm going to show you here is probably the most common way that beginners try to bring data into Stata, and that is by using the menu. So one thing to note is so there are different file formats that things can come in. And so in terms of data, two common formats that you may have already seen, even if you've not worked with Stata before, are CSV files, that's comma separated variables, or Excel files, because data often looks like a spreadsheet that many of us have seen before. So those are two common file types that many of us have encountered. But for Stata to actually be able to manipulate data or work with it in any form, that data needs to be converted into a different file format, which is called DTA. And so what I'm going to show you here is how to import data that's not in a DTA format so that you can actually use it. So to start off, I'm going to go over to the menu. I'm going to click File. And so this is going to be, again, to import data that is not already in a DTA format. If you have data that's already in a DTA format, then you would go to this Open. But because we're importing data that's not in DTA format, I'm going to go down here to Import. And you'll see that there are many different file formats that can be imported into Stata. And the kind that I'm going to be looking for here is Excel. So that's going to be anything that ends in that opens in Microsoft Excel. So .xls, .xlsx, things like that. Another common one, like I said, is CSV. So that's under text data, where it says delimited, and it'll say .csv. Keep in mind that CSV is not the same as Excel. For some people, Excel will be the default program that opens CSV files. So you might think that it's Excel, but it's not. So you'll just want to make sure that the data that you're looking for, that you just know whether it's Excel or whether it's CSV. So what I'm looking for is Excel. I'm going to click that here, and that brings this window open. So then what I need to do is, the first thing I need to do is click Browse and navigate to wherever that file is. Now here, I happen to be practicing to set this up, so it already loaded to where that folder is. But you can use what's over here on the left and navigate through to wherever you need. So you might need to go through your C drive and find something. It could be on your desktop. In my case, I'm looking for something in the OneDrive. So we just go to this folder where I know it is, and then this is the file that I want to import into Stata. So I just click Open, and then it's going to take a minute because this file is kind of large. So, and then you can resize this window if you want. And so what you get down here is a preview. So you've not converted that data into a Stata version, but you can see what it looks like if you were to do that. And this is handy because it helps you to select which options you want. So to start off, this particular file has several different tabs or several different worksheets on it. You can only import data from one worksheet at a time. So this particular file has data at the county level, state level, nation level, and then there's like a code book and a separate worksheet. I just want to bring in the county level data. So I just click that worksheet, or make sure that that's clicked. Then if you look down here, you'll see, this is the observation or row number, 1 through however many there are. And then you'll look across here. So these are the variables or columns. And you'll see up here it just says, A, B, C, etc. But what we want is this row right here to be the variable names, because we know that these column headers are actually the variable names. If we were to import it right now, then what would happen is it would import the first row of the data as saying FIPS code, then state, then county. But that's not what we want. So we want to click this option right here. It says import first row as variable names. And it's going to change the preview. And now what you can see is that the first row, has the variable names. So it's going to name these going across, and then it's going to import the data just like this. So that's all we have to do. And we can just click OK. And then it's going to take a second for it to load, and it's going to show up over here in the variables window. So this is all the different variables that there are. Then you'll see down here in the properties window, there's some information that's populated now into the data panel. So it tells us that there's 72 variables. There are 3,142 observations or lines in the data set. If you're used to spreadsheets, observations are rows, and variables are columns. And then this is the size of the file that we're working with here. You'll see some of that same information is over here in the output window or the results window. So when we navigated through to to that folder and selected all the options that we wanted, this is a piece of code or a line of code that was written after we navigated through that window. The reason why that's relevant is because you don't have to go back, say something happens and we need to start over. So I can just type clear. Now everything's gone. No more, no more data. It's empty over here in the variables window. Same thing down here in the data panel of the properties window. What I can do is I can just highlight and copy that and then put it down here into the command window, hit enter, and then it's going to take a second and it's going to load up exactly like it was before. The other way you can get to that, so I'll hit clear again, is you'll notice that some things have been popping up over here in the history window. So this has a rolling list of all the commands that have been executed in the Stata console. So I can just click this because this is what was generated when we first went through the menus to import that data. And when I highlighted it, it populated right here into the command window. And so then I can just hit enter here, or I can double click up here from the history window and it'll do the same thing. And so now our data is in the Stata console and we can start running analysis on it. You can see the variable name over here. You'll see in this case the label is the same thing as the variable name. The reason for that is because this was imported, this is imported data, and most of the time when you import data, there aren't any variable labels attached to it. So you would have to enter any of that on your own. And then you'll see the same information I pointed out down here. How many variables are there? How many observations are there? That same thing is shown down here underneath of the code. So the last thing here is, now that we've got this data in, let's say that we don't want to go through this process of importing the data every time that we want to do something. What we can do is we can just now save this as a DTA file. So what I'll do here is I'll click the File tab, go down here to Save, click that. That's going to bring up this other window here. And then I can just name the file whatever I want. So I want to give it the same name, say, is this right here, but it was the Excel version. So you'll see it's got the Excel extension .xlsx. I want to get rid of that. And then save as file type. You'll see it's Stata data, so DTA. Then I click save. And now this data is saved in a Stata format. So it'll just load faster. So for instance, what I can do is I'll just type clear again. Now let's say we want to open the data. You'll need to navigate to wherever the folder is that you've saved this. Click open, boom, loads right away. And that's all there is to it. So now we've got data loaded into Stata. I've showed a few different ways how you can save from that. And now we're ready to start running analyses on that.